Welcome in everybody for another episode of the Fly High Wi-Fi Mental Health Podcast. Been a few weeks. We had some technical difficulties last week. We almost had them again today, but I think we're figuring them out. Um, we're gonna hopefully get back on track. I know summer's about to wind down a little bit. We're going into the fall season, so I know work for me is gonna slow down a little bit. So hopefully we can get back to doing these every other week, and I'm sure things are slowing down on Mrs. Wi-Fi's side as well. No? Okay. Different story over there. Um, but we do have a couple of good topics tonight, and we will have a special guest at the end of the show today to tell their story and their mental health path and maybe struggles and positivities and everything else that can go with it. So we will start off with our topics for tonight, and they are.
Before we jump into the topics,
Oh, you got something?
I
Okay.
wanted to mention two things for this month. On September 2nd of this month, it was Complex PTSD Awareness Day. Um, so just kind of not going to jump into what it was or what it is because we talked about PTSD a lot on this show, but complex PTSD is just another form of PTSD. It's actually a more intense form of PTSD, and it's related to borderline personality disorder and PTSD. So that was September 2nd. So I guess keep that in mind for years to come, that
Okay.
that is an awareness day. And
That's good
then this month
information.
is actual, and then this month is also National Suicide Prevention Month.
It is September.
So I was doing some research on different uh, programs that are around and different things that people do for this type of month. And there was like a slogan or stance that stood out to me when I was doing this. And it is from the Scatter Joy Project. They do a simple gesture for the month of September, and it comes from a poem, which I'll read, giving a rose to people throughout the day.
Okay.
You can just give one rose to somebody, and it comes from a Ralph Waldo Emerson poem called These Roses. So
These
the poem,
roads.
yeah, says, These roses under my window make no reference to the former roses or to better ones. Therefore, what they are, they exist with God today. There is no time to them. There is simply there is simply the rose. It is perfect in every moment of its existence. Before a leaf bud has burst, its whole life acts. In the full bloom flower, there is no more. In the leafless root, there is no less. Its nature is satisfied, and it satisfies nature in all moments alike. There is no time to it. But man postpones or remembers. He does not live in the present, but with reverted eye laminates the past, or headless of the riches that surround him, stands on tiptoe to foresee the future. He cannot be happy and strong until he lives with nature and present. So the whole foundation or the whole purpose of what they do in the month of September of giving a rose is to remind you of to get a little more connected with nature and remember to be living in the present and stuff and to
100%.
focusing on.
Very understandable. I know my mom used to love yellow roses, but yellow roses like signify, I believe, friendship. That's like their
Mhm.
number one symbol. And every year we go put yellow roses on my mom's grave. So
Roses are beautiful flowers, but when I was reading that, it kind of gave a little bit more of a meaning. I don't know. I
yeah,
always think of that poem now, just like
that's
roses are kind of like perfect from start to beginning. And it doesn't matter what state they are, they're always growing, but they're not worried at what state or what
yeah, because they got
like
them dang
point in life
thorns on
or
the side of them. That's why they ain't worried. They got a little
so
bit
I
of
guess
evil to them.
no matter what point in your journey, kind of just keep focusing on the present. You can be
Yeah,
going somewhere, you can have a past, but kind of keep focusing on your present.
Absolutely. You guys get that right. She broke it down pretty easy for me to understand it. So hopefully you guys did too. It's just stop dwelling on what was done in the past and try to move forward and think about the present. One of the biggest things that we say around here is focus on the things you can control. Don't stress the things you can't. That's kind of the same thing. You guys live in the moment and worry about the things you can control. And there's some things that are out of your control, so don't stress them. Don't try to control them because you're not going to be able to.
And we can give a rose, give a rose.
And if you, yeah, give a rose, give a rose.
Um, so that's what I had for like the little tidbit of this month with the two awarenesses and then the month of September.
All right.
So on to the topics for tonight. Um, so tonight is the last eating disorder that we'll do, at least for a while. People want to bring up others, we can do that. Um, so it's avoidant or restrictive food intake disorder, and then the other topic will be malada,
Say that again, please.
maladaptive daydreaming symptoms.
Maladaptive daydreaming.
Mhm.
All right, guys, I'm about to hear about it just like you are. I ain't get that one.
So we'll start with the avoidant or restrictive food intake disorder. It's a condition that limits your food intake. It's caused by a negative self-image or a desire to change your body weight. It can also be a fear or anxiety about food or the consequences of eating, like choking. So there's two different ways of why this starts. So you can have a fear of just choking or something that happens when you eat. So it
Okay.
could be like from like an allergy, maybe you ate something and had an allergic reaction to it. So then this stems from you're afraid of that happening again, or you have that negative self-image. Um, so also this can be kind of misconstrued, especially in younger kids, as picky eating. So most people they have like foods that they like or they don't like. Picky eating usually only targets a few foods and doesn't affect your child's appetite or their growth and development. So this will actually, in children, cause complications to affect their appetite or overall health due to lack of adequate nutrition. And this condition doesn't go away without treatment. So you can't kind of change the way they eat. They're gonna avoid the food no matter
Okay,
what.
so most people would see it as picky eating, but it's really not picky eating.
Mhm.
It's actually something way more serious and can't be handled without treatment. Understandable.
So you're gonna see signs of significant weight loss. People can actually be lethargic from it, dizziness, thin body hair, behavioral changes might be the fear of choking or the picky eating. So you're going to see kind of that picky eating towards it, but it's going to be more extreme.
Okay. Do they say how it's
Um,
developed?
um, so the causes of it are like the anxiety, fear. There could be genetic changes, the social culture, or environmental influences, or trauma.
Okay.
So it
All
can
right.
be like a trauma response to something.
All right. So yeah, I was just wondering if they what really causes it instead of how will they decipher if it's picky eating or if it's ARFID. So like how do you that's one thing that I wonder how they actually decide if it's one or the other.
So when they actually go into like deciding, it's going to be more of, is it impacting, so in children, is it actually impacting like their growth and their nutrition on like where they should be placed at that age?
Okay. And that the
So I
reason I
mean,
asked this is because of Parker, right? his appetite's like there one day and then days it's not. So I just wonder if like it
So
might be
I would
something to look
say,
into because he doesn't really he's
um,
very very picky. So I thought it was just picky eating. Now we're kind of weighing the scales here to find out like he's growing taller but he's skinny as a rail. But I was the same way as a kid, right?
I was gonna say, but if he's eating some days and not others, I wouldn't say it would fall under it because the people that fall under this are like never eating.
Okay.
They
Okay. Yeah.
don't
He
want
no. There's
anything to do
days he'll
that.
eat me out the damn fridge. I'll tell you that right now. And then there's days
And
it's
yeah,
like, "Are you eat today?" He's like, "No, I wasn't hungry."
um, that's more of like maybe forgetting to eat. So like the ADHD scale of some days he's hyper focused on food, and then other
Oh
days
yeah.
he just forgets food's there.
Yeah. That's why I was just
Um,
little curious how the diagnosis and how the predictions of it came about.
um, so like you're more at risk of developing it if you had a traumatic event involving food, like I said, the choking or allergic reaction, um, an underlying condition that affects your neurological functioning. So this could also play a part in it because it talks about anxiety, depression, and ADHD having kind of a tie to it.
So now, little short story about me. We were out on the boat when I was like 7, 8 years old, way out, like mile and a half out from the coast, fishing. And I was eating a ham sandwich and I was choking. And my dad like tried to knock it out, smacking my chest, doing whatever, and it didn't come out. And I remember like just fading in and out a little bit, like losing consciousness. And then finally he like gave me a drink and I drank it and it went down. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but I was scared to eat for forever. Like the only thing I would eat was minestrone soup from this local cafe that it's called Inky's Pizza, and the only thing I would eat was minestrone soup for like almost a year. And then they took me to specialists and like I would tell my mom anything I would eat, I feel like I was choking.
So you could have fell under this category. You had a traumatic event and you fell under not maybe fully avoidant, but you were falling under like the restrictive food because you
Right.
had this like um so like you can have if you
That's
had
still
that where you were just
crazy.
like mhm,
Like as soon as you said the choking, and I was like, wow, I remember when I was a kid that like that is one vivid story that I'll never forget because I think I just told Parker this story the other day too about how I we went to Inky's Pizza to eat dinner, and I was like, "This is what I ate for a year in my life because I didn't trust anything else." And then
so
I do have ADHD also, so like they could have locked into each other, and
yeah,
the
so they
things you
could have
find
played a
out
part.
20 years
But you
later,
also
30
had a
years later in your life.
you also had a traumatic event and you went and got help by from specialists to kind of bring you back. So
Yeah,
they do say this is not something that you're gonna fix on your end. So
yeah.
and you have like that avoidant or restrictive intake. So it's also just like every other topic that we've talked about is it's on a scale. Like you can either avoid or restrict on a certain amount of level. I have
Wow,
a
that's
story
crazy.
about ketchup. I ate ketchup as a kid after I got my tonsils and adenoids removed. They tell you to avoid acids. And I didn't know what an acid was as a kid. And I burnt the inside of my throat right after having surgery. I was terrified of ketchup. And I didn't eat ketchup again until I was probably 16. So I had that restrictive or avoidant of just ketchup. Like I wouldn't, if it was on something, in something, I was like, nope, I'm
It's
good because it hurt my throat after I had surgery.
crazy how our bodies just and our minds lock into one, and they're like, no, no ketchup, never.
I was terrified of ketchup. It was I remember I ate it and it was instantly like because all my nerves on my throat were exposed.
Yeah.
I remember like letting out a scream and my mom came running down like down the stairs and I was just like I thought I was dying.
That's
And I was like,
crazy.
nope, I'm never eating ketchup again. No, I eat ketchup, but it was for so long that I was like, no, I'm good. I don't want that.
I did that with Italian dressing one time after the last thing I ate before I got really sick with pneumonia was a salad with Italian dressing on it, and I never wanted Italian dressing again. Nothing to do with the lettuce, the tomatoes, the cucumber, the cheese. It was strictly Italian dressing.
So, I mean, all of this is like relevant to how the mind works to like add the avoid, like the
Yes, the
avoidance or the
avoidance.
restrictive food because you're just like, no, I'm good, I don't want this. But there's obviously people that are on this like huge scale of like, I'm not gonna eat anything, or
Anything right.
I'm only gonna eat like we said with soup. I'm
Yep.
only gonna eat that and that your body can't survive just off of
Yeah, it doesn't have
that.
everything you need in it.
So as much as we're laughing and joking about it now, that could have grown into something way bigger.
Right, it could have been. And it's something that I would have never known about until we did this here.
Um,
This might be one of the
so,
most important ones to talk about to me
and
because it's people think it's picky eating. No,
yeah.
it could be a huge underlying issue.
Hmm. So you asked like the causes. So we talked about the fear, the anxiety, genetic changes, the trauma. So then, what are the risk factors of this? The malnutrition, dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, anemia, low blood pressure, osteoporosis, cardiac arrest, delayed puberty, and changes to the physical growth. So honestly, like this can just change everything in the body, especially as a younger kid. Uh, it changes everything in your body when you get older too, but as you're growing, you need all that nutrition. And that's why they
Absolutely.
focus on this more in younger kids. And that's why a lot of people are like, oh, they're just picky, but you have to look more into it as a picky kid
Absolutely.
on if it's crossing.
Yeah, Parker's not that picky. So,
Um, so you were talking about if there's like any type of test or anything or how they figure it out. It's honestly just physical exams each year. They can do blood tests. Ooh. And urine test, but that's once you start to hit the points of malnutrition. So at that point, you're hitting side effects of it being life threatening or causing complications for the rest of your life. So you want to start catching it when it's early stages.
right. So that way they can get the nutrition and stuff that they need to as
Mhm.
kids.
And
Your
then,
favorite meal was hot dogs with ranch, Cricky? Good for you. Because I ain't eating that.
so, um, an Australian study reported a frequency of 0.3% among people aged 15 years or older have this. So it's not super common, but it is common enough. And I'm sure a lot of people are getting the misdiagnosis of just being picky.
Picky, right? That's why I was saying this could be one of the biggest things to me out of all the eating disorders, that not to downplay any of the other ones because they are all serious, but this one can be masked by something else
Mhm.
and be misdiagnosed as something else because of it being so close to just being a picky eater.
And it does say that it's more common in children than it is in adults.
Okay.
So that percentage is obviously higher
Yeah.
in
So I'm
younger
sure
children.
like the anxiety and the fear of like maybe choking or getting sick from a food, maybe even like because you got salmonella, you could have that. You get E. coli, you could have that as food, and they can all just and instantly turn away from it.
Hmm.
So, because I know what
Well, it
spinach
takes,
is huge for E. coli lately, the last couple of years.
it honestly only takes like one time to get the flu or food poisoning, and you're instantly like, I never want to experience that again. And as a kid, you don't really know what's going on, so you're just like,
Right.
like you said, I ate that, and I'm gonna place it with that, and I never want to do that again.
Yeah, I never wanted to eat Italian dressing again. because I got pneumonia and my stepmom had to rush me to the hospital. I was like 104 temperature and puking my brains out. It was bad. Come pick me up from school. She thought I was kidding, like just trying to stay home sick because my dad was out of town for a pool tournament, and it was a Friday. She thought I was just trying to stay home from school. Sent me to school, and I actually was sicker than heck. And she had to take me to the ER, rush me, and they had to give me a bunch of steroids and bring my temperature down. It was bad. Put me with like 3 bags of saline, trying to get me back to hydrated levels and stuff. I'll remember that one, and that's why I didn't like Italian dressing. But not to mind the lettuce, the pickles, everything else in the salad. It was just the dressing that did it.
I shouldn't laugh.
I we laugh now because it's like that's just how powerful your mind is, though. It can control you to that limit. It picks the one thing and shuts it out. And it was like, nope, that's it.
I think, yeah, I just found it funny because you're like Italian dressing, and I was like, ketchup.
Yeah. Always the condiment, apparently. Oh man, but no, guys, seriously, like, pay attention because I didn't even know this is really a thing. Like, we honestly can be masked by picky eating, and especially those with kids. Their nutrition is very, very important, and especially in the younger ages when they need to grow their bone development, their brain, their eyes, and everything like that. It needs to be taken care of, and if it's something like this, then it could be very, very detrimental to their future. So that's how I was when I got diagnosed with diabetes. Craigie, I'm sorry, man. That's a tough one because your diet has to completely change too. And you have to be,
Mhm.
because eating the wrong thing can definitely take you the wrong way. Oof. He was
So
three
that's what I
years
have.
old. 3 years old, man. Oh.
Um, and
And
that's
you
like the
ate hot dogs
secondary.
and ranch growing up? Hold on a second.
Well, that's what you
That
decided you could eat.
that doesn't seem like it fits the diet. Oh, Cricky, you're tough, man. You like what you like, whatever. You're still here with us today, so it must not have been too bad for you. I can't read what you wrote, but yes. All right.
Well, I had
So,
on that one.
yeah. Move on that one.
So the next one we have is maladaptive daydreaming. So everyone gets lost like in their thoughts from time to time, and then occasionally you have like those prolonged or what they say like delusion to daydreams. So there's some people who actually kind of leave the world to live in their daydreams, and that's a maladaptive daydream.
You say leave the.
And
They do what?
so maladaptive daydreaming occurs when a person engaged in prolonged bouts of daydreaming, often for hours at a time to cope with a problem. So they will
Okay.
just kind of dissociate and they'll go live in their daydreams. The daydreaming is maladaptive because it causes significant distress or impairment. The daydreams are often vivid and complex plots that have a great deal of emotion. A person becomes so consumed by their daydream that they may fail to complete work or other daily tasks or start to withdraw from friends and family. However, maladaptive daydreaming is not seen as a mental illness as of yet.
So it's not hitting the spectrum for mental health yet. Okay. I don't know how it wouldn't be. Well, not my job to determine, but
Um, is not being seen yet because you can't necessarily put a daydream into somebody's kind of psyche. You can You can diagnose somebody with like BPD and say that a part of one of their symptoms is daydreaming, but you can't say somebody has like a mental illness due to daydreaming. So you can put it as a symptom. So this is can be a symptom of a mental illness,
Right.
but it's not. It's not a mental illness yet.
All right. Um, see, I was trying to look at a little bit more. It's kind of newer as of 2002.
Mhm.
Symptoms we already went through.
One
It's
study
it.
found that, oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, I don't have nothing. I was just reading.
The one study found that nearly 80% of participants for this type of daydreaming also had ADHD, followed closely by anxiety disorders, depression, and OCD. It's possible that anyone with these experiences of daydreaming may provide a mental escape from these depressive or anxiety provoking thoughts. So that's why they're connecting it with other mental health disorders.
Okay, it's understandable. So this one's pretty straightforward to the point, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Cut and
So,
dry.
um, so there's an estimate of 1 in 40 individuals who daydream excessively to the point where it causes impairment or dysfunction in their lives. So one
Okay,
in
do
40
they
individuals.
have a way to counter it for as a symptom since it's not technically on the mental health? Do they have a way to provide treatment for it yet?
Within other types of therapy for other disorders they do. So it's kind
Okay,
of like
so
a
they
backhanded,
maybe if they take care of the other disorders, it will then take care of this all in full circle.
because this is seen as like an escape for other things. If
Okay,
they kind of take care of the source, it should lessen that type of daydreaming. But again, with it being like a newer found thing, they don't know if it's actually going away or
right.
what.
Chat's trolling me right now because I said I like. They're talking about the food when we were talking about our foods and stuff.
Um,
I told them like we all have our perks with the certain things that we like that people might find crazy, right? I said I like to take a dill pickle and wrap it in American cheese, and I'll just eat that. So then now they're telling me that they need a pickle wrapped in cheese emote. So my sister was pregnant, and she was do that, and I tried it as a kid, and it was pretty damn good. So I kept eating it.
and don't they say like pickles and peanut butter is good?
I don't know about that one. It's like I don't know about that one. We'll have to just do an episode of where we talk about all the goofy stuff that we all do and figure out why we do it. Like goofy foods that
Food
people
wise,
eat.
I was just saying,
Food
like
wise,
just
yeah.
food or
Yeah, I don't even know about what they do behind four walls sometimes, right?
something that's good is sour cream and sour patch kid.
Taking the sour to a whole different level, Alyssa. No.
That's classified.
It's what?
It's classified.
Especially this
uh,
Chad Cherry. Oh yeah, that's probably true, Jerry. We gotta keep that one to rated X after dark for this chat.
um, so for age studies, younger students or like teens are more likely to experience this than adults, and then women are more likely to be affected by it than men.
Okay. Women instead of men. Wonder why that is. Because I feel like men dream a lot. Like getting deep into their thoughts. But I guess women do too.
doesn't say, it just says women are more likely to come forward about having
Oh,
these
coming forward. Okay, yeah.
daydreams. Well, they're more likely to be affected, but that also could be because they're more likely to come forward. Hence being overrepresented in the prior research. So they're being overrepresented.
Okay, what time is it? What up? Do we got anything else on that?
No, that was kind of like the
All right. So,
straightforward.
Tanik, if you want to get ready to get in the Discord, bud, that way we can get set up for you to come in here. Guys, before we bring our special guest in today, I want to thank you guys for being here week in and week out that we're here, participating in the chat. Whether I can read it on the stream or not, it's still funny and we're here. It makes us laugh, gives us a good time. The feedback is always nice. The comments and concerns is one of the things that keeps us going. And again, if there's ever a topic or something that you guys would love to hear about that we haven't talked about or we did talk about but didn't go into enough depth for what you want to hear, please let us know so we can continue to grow and get more topics and keep things interesting so we don't lose like momentum forward and trying to just keep bringing awareness and topics that need to be talked about that not a lot of people talk about. And if we can be the ones to help bring these things up, we might only reach out to 1, 2, 50, 60 people, but it's still those people tell somebody else and it's just daisy chains on. And hopefully we can maybe change the world one person at a time or save people's lives one person at a time just by information being spread. Let's have Natanic tell his story and his things, and then we'll see what's going on after that. And if we have enough time for everyone, we'll make sure that we bring you on as well. But we usually schedule them, but we'll see how much time we got. All right, Natanic, are you in the Discord? I can't pull in from this computer. All right, there you go. You don't have to be on camera. I just turned my camera off like a ding dong. You don't have to be on camera, Tanik. You can do your own thing. You can just use phone, mic, or whatever you got to do.
I'm on the computer and I have 2 cameras. One is my actual webcam that is nice, and then the one is the computer, and I don't have the one connected, so I'm not using the normal computer webcam because it sucks.
Hey, do whatever you got to do. It's more important about hearing your voice than you telling your story at this moment.
Yeah, I don't know how to start this because,
Hey, so let's start with a little bit about yourself. You don't give your government. Give out your name that you like to go by on here if you want to. If you want to give out your government, that's on you.
that is funny because actually I'm going to be honest about the name on Kick has my government name in it.
Okay.
Yeah, so the actual spelling of my name, and everybody mispronounces it, but if you drop the I and the C, that is how to spell my first name.
All right.
It was so I don't mind because it's you know if people are that weird to come find who I actually am, well, just wait for a PAX or something.
Yeah. All right.
So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, so yeah, I actually deal with mental health myself, and some of the things about the topics today just were like a slap to my face because I've dealt with some of this with some of my mental health stuff. So it was kind of like interesting. But yeah, I have a few diagnoses. One of them is bipolar 1 with mixed cycles. That is fun.
We've talked about that here on the show.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Then I also have I gotta still get testing. My one diagnosis of ADHD dropped, and when I said what could it be, the psychiatrist is like, "You're somewhere on the spectrum." I'm like, that doesn't help, because that could be a range of things. But then I'm also diagnosed with PTSD and other non-specified dissociate disorder. And that when you guys were talking about the daydreaming, that is one of the symptoms for my dissociative disorder is I zone into my own world. So that was interesting hearing the, daydreaming thing and why it's not. And I think, because with my dissociative disorder, I don't lose track of time.
Mhm.
So it's not, quite falling the dissociative identity disorder under the DSM-5, which is very interesting how the DSM-5 is the fifth edition and there's still things changing. And it takes a while for them to update it. It's a big book. I've tried to read it myself just to understand my diagnoses a little bit more, and it's confusing. So I see why these psychiatrists go like 6 years to learn it, because I couldn't even.
Look, she's got it in front of her.
You know exactly what I mean. It's very hard to read it if you don't go to the schooling to understand it. So I have those, but I also deal with another um mental health, which is, in my eyes, I kind of see it why it's under mental health, but it's addiction. Next Thursday would actually be my 1 year mark of being sober. So,
Congratulations.
Yeah,
and
congrats.
yep, and I go to an intensive outpatient, and mental health and addiction go hand in hand so well. And but yeah, for me, like that eating thing, the selective eating, um, it kind of hits me now as adult when you guys were talking about it, because my psych meds, I don't take them anymore, because I'm learning to deal with my mental health, because it's a part of me, you know. And the meds I was on would either make me feel like I was starving or I was super full,
Mhm.
depending on what the meds were. So as a kid, you can see from like my first grade picture until I graduated, there's a time where I was skinny, and then there was a time I was just, chubby and then skinny. And those were the fluctuations of the meds changing. So now as an adult, I barely eat. I can go 3 to 4 days without eating food and be fine. And then I can eat, like, the weird thing about the chat telling them what they eat weird. I can eat like a buttered and sugar toast sandwich, like one of them, and be fine for like 2 days straight to like 3 days, and that would be the only thing I would have ate. There's a year where the only thing I drank was Mountain Dew and energy drinks. So, and when you guys are talking about like the ham sandwich and the ketchup, for me, I didn't like baked beans made me like almost throw up. So I don't touch any form of bean, especially baked beans. If people go, "This is baked beans," I'm like, no, no, I'm sorry, I can't eat it.
Yeah.
So I see where the brain where you guys were saying like ketchup. I never ate it till I was 16, and
Yeah.
so, like I realized that, and I still won't touch baked beans or kidney beans or any of that, and like
So chili's not
you
your
were like,
friend, is what you're telling me.
no, yeah, no, like, non-baked bean chili is okay. But the weird thing is, like, I can go to a Taco Bell, order a 5-layer burrito that has baked beans in it, and I don't taste them in it, so I don't know what
So if
to
you
say
don't know
about
it's
that.
there, it ain't hurting you, is what you're telling me.
If I can't taste it, yes, I guess.
It's like my dad with butter. Dad absolutely hates butter. If he sees you put it on anything, he tell you don't serve it. But my wife cooks with butter and everything, and he doesn't even know.
That is great. But yeah, so dealing with those stuff, the reason, like, I was just talking with a friend before you guys came live. I was actually in a multi-stream with them, and I told about the podcast here, because mental health awareness is a great thing. Where I'm supposed to be on Zoom for my outpatient treatment from like 5 to 8 p.m. My counselor, when I told her I'm about to be on this podcast about mental health awareness, she's like, "Oh yeah, your excuse. Also, let me know when it's done and you have the link to it, because I want to hear it." And I'm like, "Oh great, I opened Pandora's box." But
Yeah, I
it
help bring awareness.
but it's bearing
Mhm.
an awareness, so I understand. And the reason why I got into streaming is I found out for my coping skills ever since a kid is video games was an outlet, and it still is. Like if I get mad at something, I go on to Call of Duty and try to like take out my anger on everybody on Warzone. Doesn't really work well. I get frustrated and have to go to a different game, but you know.
Yeah.
But streaming was an outlet because I can be myself, and in my bio, I got made a avatar for when I play as female characters and eventually get a Go XLR because I can't. I do voice acting stuff. That's another way I help with mental health. Is I love to like voice act, so I can sound like Nikolai from Call of Duty, and also Michael Keaton's Beetlejuice, which a lot of people love. But that's another reason why I like with the dissociative disorder, it helps that I haven't used the avatar yet for streaming, but it's its own persona on my stream
Mhm.
because it's a way that I can be myself, but also like trying to think of the damn word. Words are hard. But like
Sometimes it can be, yeah.
I guess it helps with a lot of stress and trauma. I want to say. Um, my real dad has been in prison most of my life. I only met him once when I was 16, and in 2018, contact is dropped. And it wasn't until recently that I asked my aunt, "Have you heard from my dad?" And he went back into prison. So growing up, it was a tool against me. Um, I kind of forgive my mom because I know a little bit more of the background and see why she would say, but she will say things like "you're just like your father" and stuff like that. So like I hate mirrors. Like even though I have to use mirrors to shave my face, I hate them because of stuff that I have done and that, it's like I just want to punch the person in the mirror, but I realize that's me. So it's but I have like part of my PTSD is, being in recovery. I used to do, drugs and alcohol and were sell them as well. And there was an incident when the person I was selling for, had a loaded pistol to my face. So like anytime I hear fireworks or, loud bangs, I'm always like flashing back to that day. And I don't have a flight response anymore because of it. Which I'm kind of sad about because now anytime I feel like my life's in danger or I'm in danger in any shape or form, like emotional, mental, physical, or any of that, it's right to a fight response. Um, but that's well, the reason why I'm in recovery now is this is something that's dear to my heart. I lost my grandma, 2023 in April. Um, and I was homeless during this time from a work injury. And I didn't want to be on this planet without my grandma. Not only that, I have lost family since 2019 back and back. And before my grandma passed, my other grandma passed. Both dear to my heart. And in the middle of all this, I find out a friend of mine that was trying to help me get sober back in 2018 was unfortunately, before he was to move back up here, was basically kidnapped for being a third wheel in a relationship and was brutally murdered and left on the side of the road down south. And that was only one of my true friends. So since 20 like went in back into drugs in 2018 from not, using for a while to using, then trying to get sober and then just family and friends dropping like fries. Flies, not fries. I want to make that
Are
clear.
you hungry?
You, you guys talking about food. I
Yeah,
accidentally said
yeah.
fries. Oh, instead of flies, which you gotta love the communities on Kick here for that, because
Yeah.
that's that. If you can't laugh at yourself, what can you laugh at?
Yeah.
And another thing is with that, the beginning about the live in the present. What I've learned in the recovery is one day at a time, and it reminds me of the Kung Fu Panda movie. Is don't worry about yesterday because yesterday is history. Don't worry about tomorrow because tomorrow's a mystery. Live today because today is a gift, and that's why they call it the present. And I'm sitting here, looking at do I do this or do I not? And in my mind, if I'm deciding if I'm going to do something, I go noodle, no noodle. So and it just I just look, and when you said don't like change the things you can in that, it reminded me of the serenity prayer because it's this accept the things I can't change and the courage to change those things I can and the wisdom to know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much what you said, Ferris, about you can't control things and only worry about the things you can control. That just hit me like that goes for so many, you know. I'm trying to, not to laugh at watching Ferris's stream right now.
Oh,
With all
because the
the,
chat's going crazy. Yeah.
but that's another thing of why I stream on Kick. I was back when this thing called Mixer was around, and
That's where I started.
I did a podcast once or one episode and then totally just not ever brought it back up. But I was speaking with a streamer that I met through there about you know mental health and why did they get into gaming, and one of theirs was just like mine for mental health reasons. And um, when I heard about your guys' podcast and I actually got it on Spotify, one of the guest appearance was Tank,
Yep.
and
She was our first
I
ever guest.
she was the first guest, and I when I found her stream, that's where I could go. Like it was help when I needed mental health, to reassure that I'm not alone. Her stream was one of the streams I looked for. So when I listened to that, I was like, "This is so accurate," and I didn't even know she knew these guys.
Me
So
and Tank go back to Mixer days.
that's see, I don't think I never met you until the purple, and I don't remember how.
Probably through Tank and Bori and Mitch and all those guys.
Probably I know
Stacks,
so many.
Tyler.
I know I know so many people that I can't be like I remember you from and I've changed my
And that was the whole group that came over and we all came to Twitch together.
and some of them are still there.
Yeah.
But since I followed your stream and I have family that have served in the military and I've known you from Twitch, I was like I gotta support my man. He's
Yeah.
one like
And Jerry Bear, he's crying in chat right now that we didn't say Jerry.
yes. It's okay, you're not alone. But
Just kidding,
like
Jerry. We love you.
but also with talking with you when I was about like I still lost my storage unit, but that was
Yeah, that was a
nuts
tight
to
time
like
frame. That was
that was a
tight time frame for us to
not
be able to
only
get it.
right, but also it was to me it was am I going to lose sobriety and my mental health? But talking with you through that big thing helped because yeah, I don't have all my stuff anymore. I've lost a lot of stuff that I can never get back again. But what I can get back is today. Just today. I can get back just today in the moment. Because
Yes.
all this stuff that I have still that I didn't, leave in my storage unit, cool, I have them. But I could also be the person that can give up all this stuff.
Right.
Because when like if the world was to fall apart today and the whole world just like explode or imploded on itself, the only thing that's coming with me is me and the friends that I see once that's all done with. So it's human interaction for me is and the help that you have shown me and others have shown me through streaming when I need it the most, when I feel like I'm alone, proves why I got to keep going. And my grandma never knew the addiction part of my life. She started to have Alzheimer's, and then she fell 3 times and her brain was bleeding, and there's nothing they could do. And that's one reason why I'm coming to sobriety and sticking with it, because when the day I'm no longer here, my grandma's gonna see the grandson she knew, and not the grandson that she hoped never came with the addiction, you know. And they go hand in hand, and it's because
They
some
do.
of our, like, for me, my addiction stems from a lot of childhood issues. Feeling outcast, feeling alone. I found the fake friends that I thought were real friends and stuff. And now, if I
that
if I
that's a
call those
huge one,
people up,
buddy.
yeah, if I call those people up, none of them are gonna come to like help me move or anything. But it, just like you said, Ferris, if I call the text Ferris, like, hey, dude, I'm getting married, I can bet that he's gonna be on a plane ticket that day, even if I have to pay for it. Ferris will definitely. I don't know if that's how you pronounce the name. That's always a
It's
debate with some of us.
it's Praz or Sharp, since Praz spelled backwards is Sharp, and Sharp is my last name.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Now I see it.
there you go. That's crazy. I've gained
I
with. There's people I've gained with for year plus, and everybody's like, "Why do they call you Sharp?" And then they look at my name and they're like, "Oh," I'm like, "It clicked." And there's always that same
yeah,
"oh" moment when we all know it clicked. We all just start laughing because we all
yeah.
know it just hit them.
But yeah, so that's basically a little rundown, I guess.
Okay. At this time, is there like, what could we do if there's anything that we could do to help you? Is there anything? Let us know. Don't be scared to reach out. We don't have to talk about it here. I just want to let you know that we are here. There's other people in the community that are a part of our team that maybe you don't want to directly talk to one of us, and maybe somebody else could fit that for you. And we do have others in the community that are willing to reach out and talk to. And if we can't get you the help that you need, or you're looking for something else, we'll try to find you the help or give you resources to be able to reach out to it and get it.
Yeah, I've I've been learning to reach out because being in recovery, when I get a craving, they always say reach out on that phone list. So like, I never really dove into like helping my mental health. So like, and I'm still learning about some of my own diagnoses myself. Because like growing up, my parents didn't, like, I grew up with a stepdad and a mom who I was the firstborn. So like, they had no real like way to learn how to like help me with coping skills and stuff. So like, now that I'm over, wow, words are hard today. Um, Now that I'm older, you know, I never really asked for help as a kid. It's kind of difficult because it's like I'm still trying to learn how to like deal with it on my own end and learn how like to be a functioning human. So I hate saying human, but like I gotta realize, because I was always like outcasted, I never really felt humanized. And that's the thing with addiction, is we never felt humanized, so we found humanization through our addictions. So like it's hard for me to like interact with people, but it seems like when it's on like Kick or playing games or like this, it's so easy to like be, feel human. And that's one reason why I do the gaming and streaming, because it makes, it humanizes me and I like feel normal.
And that's why
'Cause, you know,
gaming's huge for a lot of people, but it gives them that little relationship without actually being in front of people. It gives them a chance to conversate and just not be alone, honestly.
And to feel connected.
well,
Connected.
yeah, well connected, and the fact that, there, people always, there was when I started, like my addiction as a teenager, there was a kid that I knew from school that was like, "Wait, you do this?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Dude, I thought you were always crazy." Like that's how my school's seen mental health issues with people with IEPs and stuff in school where they were like lunatics, and it's like it just grinded my gears as a kid because like the school picked on them, the kids with the mental health disabilities that had an individual education plan. Like they degraded us, and not the teachers, but the students, like your fellow classmates did.
Kids are
And,
assholes. I'll say it to this day. I'll be straight up blunt about it. They are blunt,
and
nasty, rude.
yeah, and the weird thing is like I had a vice principal at the time of my junior high when I was being bullied and getting, and then eventually, I took the problem into my own hands to solve it.
Which got
Their
you in trouble,
response,
probably.
yep, yeah. And my mom never wanted to hear anything. Like, I couldn't be open with my mama. She thought it was, an excuse. As an adult, I told my stepdad about why I was always kicked out of school, and he's like, "Buddy, I never knew that, dude. I would have done something if I knew that." I was like, "I did it. I thought you did. I've told mom this so many times, but it was an excuse." And the vice principal was bowling. They're just boys will be boys. And then as an adult, I'm looking up my old teachers to see if they're still, teaching in the schools to tell them how I'm doing. And I see a segment about bowling, and it's this vice principal that I had that's now the principal talking how bowling's not okay. And I'm like, when I was in your school, when you were a vice principal, you let it fly as boys will be boys, and now you're like, it's not okay. Like, what, are you doing this as, publicity since you're now the principal and you have to do something about it? Or have you really realized that bowling people with mental health is a big concern? Like, and I will never know the answer, but I'm hoping it's what I believe it is that she realized that mental health and people that bully people with mental health is not okay, and that we should be helping each other. That's what I hope it's, I hope it's not because she's a principal and she's got to look good in front of, the school district. But for me, it's without, the people I met in recovery, the people in gaming community, like, I probably still won't be here talking without all of them. Um, because my mental health got really bad as a teenager, I had a few attempts to disappear from the planet. And then when my grandma died, it was with my addiction that I was, it, on the death, if I passed in my addiction, it would be because of, the addiction and not, by my, it's still by my own self. And I realized within this last year that the people I've met care so much that I can't do that to them, you know, because even though, like, for me, when I was going through those thoughts, I thought I would be helping the people I care about if I wasn't here. And I realized that that is not what I thought it would be. Seeing all the, the mental health awareness and what I've learned is that would do more damage than I thought. So now I want to like actually help people with mental health as well because for me that's one of the things that is a top thought process is I'm you know going to relieve the people I care about, pain that I'm causing, which is, not the case in my eyes anymore. And I remember when I was a kid trying to call the hotline and my stepdad unplugged the phone. And for me, that's, I I don't hate him for it, but now I realize that there are people out there that need to talk to somebody. And if that phone call can, help somebody, it's like with an addiction. I live in a sober house now, and we have our house meeting. The guy say you can't answer your phone during the house meeting. I'm like, if it's somebody that I know from recovery, I'm gonna answer that phone call because I don't know if it's going to be, you know, them gonna make a decision that's gonna impact the rest of their life or not. And I'd rather be that phone call of that person that picks up to help somebody. It's just like Ferris says, he'll stop the stream to talk to somebody to help him for making a decision, a permanent decision for a what's the word? Permanent decision for a temporary problem. And there was a day that I needed, to talk to somebody like that, and he offered to shut down the stream. I'm like, no, just seeing the hilariousness in your stream is enough for me to know that I'm cared for. Like just him saying, buddy, I can shut down the stream right now for you. I'm like, no, don't shut down your stream for me. And he goes, I'll do it for anybody. I'm like, just being here and seeing the laughter and the comedy, I can't talk. The hilariousness of his chat and his link cramps in PUBG.
Wow. Why do we always got to bring the leg cramps into this, man?
Because I'm still trying to figure out how to make it into a shout out thing for when you come in and raid me, okay?
Oh, man. That's tough.
But that,
This
or
chat
the chat
spams that
today.
emote enough.
Yep. That's why I wanted to do it when people have it when they raid, it shouts them out right away. I'm trying to figure out how to do that with the clip. I've actually saved that clip on my computer, by the way.
Cricky made that for me, actually.
Yeah, but that's this whole hilariousness that day when I really wanted to make a permanent decision for his temporary solution. This hilariousness was enough to bring the joy that I needed to realize I can't enjoy this if I'm not here. And so many people have saved my mental health and all that just for meeting them in the stream world.
Well,
And now I get to meet the lovely Miss Flywhite, the main host. I'm gonna call Ferris the co-host.
yeah, I am definitely the co-host here. This is Mrs.
Yes.
Wi-Fi, the main host. I say it every time for a reason because she is the main host.
It was nice
and,
to meet you.
and I get to meet the lovely host that I I don't know the full backstory, but I understand the backstory enough to like be appreciative of this podcast. Like to the fact that my addiction counselor wants to hear this when it's like up on Spotify. Like this is how like this podcast has gotten to the world is I've said it's about mental health awareness and I'm going to be talking, I'm going to be giving my story a little bit and like how I deal with mental health and my addiction. And she's like, oh yeah, you could be excused from group for that. Let me know when it's posted. And I'm like, it's just amazing how like just me coming in one day at the end of the podcast and asking about it. And now here we are after, technical difficulties, black mold demolishing, me trying to figure out if I can actually be here. And now we're finally here. And it's just, lately I've been like stressed a lot with my job and, I'm about to be going back to school and trying to stay sober, trying to pay for my sober house. All this stress deals with my mental health. And one key is when my room becomes like a tornado comes through it, that's how bad my mental health is. And it's kind of cleaned up a little bit and I'm a little bit feeling better. you know. So that's like something with also my mental health is like my room. If it's completely looks like a tornado came through, I mentally I'm being kicked down on the ground. And the weird thing about my mental health is eventually I get pissed that my room is so dirty and I clean it, and then mental health just gets better. And I'm like, why did I go through this? It stresses me out with my mental health that like I've let my room or my apartment be so messy because of my mental health that it just irritates me to the point I clean it, and then everything starts to go upwards from there. And family's like, why don't you just start cleaning it? I'm like, I don't know. It's just apparently how, to be honest, I think it's the bipolar. There'd be, when I'm not in a manic state and I'm like stable, everything's clean and dandy. There's maybe a few messes, but I clean it up. When I start to get that manic or the depressant, it seems like maybe when I'm asleep, when I'm in a manic mode, it's like if I'm asleep, I think like I'm sleepwalking, just trashing my own apartment. It's how it feels like. And
Yeah.
it's just weird. And then like, but that's how like my social workers and everybody that works with my mental health knows that they go, hey, kind of messy in here. And I'm like, yeah, so, all angry. And they're like, you want to talk, buddy? What's going on? And then I get all stressed and like just keep that rambling about how all this stuff's going wrong. And they're like, whoa, breathe. Hold on. You want to play Call of Duty Zombies? Let's play Call. And they're like, get me on Call of Duty Zombies, and we'll be playing. And I start to calm down, and like stress level goes down. And then that's when they're like, hey, so we notice your mental health goes crazy when your place is a mess. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And we're sitting here playing Call of Duty Zombies on Kino Deterrent. And that's just how gaming was one of those things. It like distracts my brain from what's causing the issue. And one thing that a lot of people don't know is like when I'm angry, I don't like to like express what makes me angry. Like even though my treatment's been trying to get me to do that, that just feels it even more. And it just brought back my memory. Like the other day, I got mad at my county worker because they have every evidence they need to like reverse my food snaps from like February. I lost my job in January, just got a new one in June. In June, I sent the unemployment letter that proves that that was signed in March that proves I lost my job in Fit. And they're like, well, you can, appeal it. I'm like, you have all the evidence there, and just got mad and said some harsh words. I don't get, physical anymore with my anger. I like to become a sailor, and just cuss them out because it's like the least damage in my mind. Besides, because when I was a teenager, my anger was so out of control that if I was mad at somebody, my fist was like through the wall. And my mom still hasn't replaced the basement door from when I was like 13 that I kicked in and broke it in half. Cheap wooden door, so I don't even know why they didn't replace it, but it was a cheap door in my opinion, or that's how mad I was that I could kick it in half. And it's still this was when I was 13, and I'm like way past 13, and my mom still hasn't replaced it because when I went there for Christmas last year, there's holes in the wall, and I'm like, please tell me these aren't the holes that I put in. And then my brothers, I have three of them. They each put their fists to the wall, and it's the oldest one of my younger brothers puts his. I'm like, oh, so it's yours. So like, and he was like, yeah, I got mad at that one, and points to the other brother, and I'm like, and I look at my mom. She goes, uh-huh. I have three other ones of you. I'm like, ouch. But point is taken. So like,
Yeah.
I'm being that big brother now. Because my brother just seen on Facebook, total my mom's second car after he totaled the first one he was given and got a D dub, and he's not even able to drink yet. And when I saw that, Big Brother kicked in, recovery kicked in, and I'm like, hey, buddy, uh, don't do that. And he goes, I ain't going to. I'm like, oh, yeah, because when you're 18, we'll be sitting in the same jail cell talking to the same judge. Because, I would, you know, you know, whoop my brother's butt because, I don't want him to see the same mistakes. Then he throws
Right.
in that my stepdad would whoop my butt. I'm like, well, then there's all three of us telling the same judge the same story,
Yeah.
so, because that's what my stepdad says now that I'm an adult. He goes, we'll be talking to the same. I kind of, seen that I used to hate him and now he's my best buddy because he actually was a dad to me that I have on Timu. He just had his birthday. I'm getting, you know, this is not my stepdad. This is my step up dad because he stepped up and treated me like one of his own. And I'm going to get him a t-shirt that says I have two titles and they are dad and stepdad and I rock them both because that's how much that man has cared about me so much that now as an adult I can see it because he goes, buddy, you're not like your dad. I know your mom used it against you all the time, but you're not him because you're still free and he's in prison again. And I'm like, you got a point. You got a point.
Keep it that
So,
way.
I'm trying to. Trust me. It's that's why I live one day at a time.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is like I'm still trying to learn how to deal with my own mental health and my anger. Like that's one of the things that I want to get, strength because my mental health is run by emotions, and I always told my psychiatrist, his therapist throughout the years, I want to be like Raven from Teen Titans because her powers are run by her emotions, so she can't
Yeah.
let her emotions get too out of control. And I'm trying so hard to be like that, but when I explain it and show videos, they're like, they seem like they're numb. I'm like, well, to a point, but then
Remember,
also,
this is you're gonna have this journey your entire life. So, like you're saying, it's a day at a time. You just have to be
right.
patient with it.
But then I have also learned from recovery that, serenity is peace within the storm and not freedom from the storm. That I'm about to get a tattoo representing that, but also representing the quote that the deadliest samurai knows when to keep his sword sheathed. And with my like mental health and addiction and stuff like that, I've angry. I'm an angry person, and I'm trying not to be. It's just like the littlest thing, like you accidentally bump into me when I'm in a bad mood, it's like you just like let all hell break loose and like I'm ready to like fight like a lion and I don't like living like that. So one of my goals within my mental health journey and getting it under control and my recovery is to find my inner peace where somebody can call me, the R word that is not, appropriate anymore or politically correct nowadays and I can instead of getting mad and wanting to like detach them from their part of their body from where they think that and speak that, I want to be the one where I can smile and go, it's okay. I know I'm special. I make fun of that stuff with myself that I bought a Deadpool blanket from Timu that says, it's like my mom always said, what the F is wrong with you? I told my mom she did say that once, and she goes, "That's funny." I'm like, "But I love you, mom." Like I relate with my mental health and dissociation. I try to relate myself to fictional characters because it helps me process the world, and it's hard to get a lot of people to like think like that to be able to reach to me on an inner peace level, like an inner level during my years of addiction and teenage hooliganry, I've been, placed in the back of a squad car. And I'm one of those people that said I'll never drive a Ford, except a Crown Victoria, because I want to sit in the driver's seat, because I want to know what the front feels like, but because I never knew, because I was always in the back. Um, but one of the, correctional people realized that video games and movies and that help with my mental health, and I understand it well. That my brain processes stuff through using them as metaphors. They were able to talk to me and like understand a little bit more where they could help. And I don't really tell people like that much about like stuff like that because I'm, with growing up, the mental health was like my stepdad always said, men don't cry, never cry. When my great grandma died when I was, 10, they didn't tell me she passed because she passed on Thanksgiving and I was in lockup and I was, being happy. He didn't want to destroy that because I knew I would completely. He knew I'll go a whole 180 from doing good to being horrible, so I wouldn't have to face those emotions. So I get
Right.
home and he's crying on the steps, and I look at him and I'm like, "Why are you crying?" Like, because I was raised that men don't show emotions. The only emotions that a man should show is the love for your family and the anger, like the lion or the alpha wolf, And now I realize what he meant is it wasn't that you shouldn't cry, is that in certain times you got to sometimes hold your emotions back because of your loved ones. You got to be a rock, you got to be there for them. So he wouldn't cry at funerals, and if he was wearing sunglasses. Trust me, the family on both sides of my family always did not like him doing that, but now I understand why he did it. It's because he was trying to be the rock of, the strength and the support. He was trying to be there for the rest of us and tries to deal it with on his own, which I don't recommend dealing with hard emotions by yourself with mental health and addictions.
It's not. Yeah, it's definitely a lot easier with people instead of alone.
Right, but sometimes, like for me, just being on gaming and just playing games is enough that, like, I'm not saying like being by yourself sometimes is okay. Like for me, if I'm angry, I need to be by myself because if I'm not, things are gonna like somebody can say something and it's gonna feel that anger. And my grandma who passed away realized that when I was a kid, told the school's officer to put me in a room by myself when I get mad. And in about 5 to 10 minutes, I'll be calm. And now as an adult, I realize why she did that. I can't be mad if I'm in a room with a bookshelf and a plant in the corner. If I'm mad at this one teacher and the teacher's not in that room, because there's no point to be mad because the thing that made me mad isn't there. So I'm just like, what to be mad about? I can't be mad at the
Right.
plant in the corner. It's a plant, or I can't be mad at the bookshelf. It's just a. So that's why I kind of like with anger. That's why I like to be alone because what set me off isn't in that room or that area. So it's like what am I supposed to be mad at? My brain
Right.
with the mental health just goes, you can't be mad. And it's like, but I want, and I'm trying to be mad. I'm trying to think of reasons to be mad at the plan, and I'm just like, I can't. And I start
Speak.
laughing at myself.
Speaking of being mad, I don't want you to be mad at me, but to hold the time frame for us to be able to upload the podcast to the
Yeah.
Spotify and everything, you can continue to speak with us after, but I have to end the recording and I want to do it and give our little end speech. So you're more than welcome to continue speaking with us. The stream will still be live, so you can tell your story still. But for recording purposes, I need to end it so we can upload it.
Yeah, I didn't know how much time I had. So I
know you still got time with us. You still got time with us. But for this episode, I need to be able to cut it short so we can upload it. All right, guys. As you guys just listened to Tanic, he gave a story, how we've helped, how other people have helped, how mental health is serious. Everyone struggles with it. Everybody has highs, lows, everything with mental health. It's something that's not talked about enough. We say this every week. Just know, as you can see right here down below me, you're not alone. We are here. myself, people in the community, Mrs. Wi-Fi, Jer Bear, Cricky, Ben, like Alex. Well, is that you? We got guys that are in the community, women, men, all of us guys. We're here together. We're not just partial to one person or another. We're here for everybody. So if you guys need anybody, do not be hesitant to reach out. Please, 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 please. On behalf of myself, Mrs. Wi-Fi, Fly High Wi-Fi, Tanik, we want to thank you for being here with us today on a special day. And we thank you guys in chat and those who listen to this in the future. Thank you for your time. But till the next one. Bye.
Bye.